The following is for entertainment purposes only. We are not financial advisors. We are not responsible for any losses, only the profits.
What is up, Octo Nation? It is Greg with 2Gs. Today we are taking a look at DynaCERT. Y'all heard of them? I've been trying to do a video on them for a long time. It's just, in fact, I think I grabbed some shares a month or two ago or something like that, but I just haven't gotten to it. I haven't even really dove in. I know a little bit about it, but we're going to dive on in and kind of get some feelings going on. I've had a bunch of people been asking me about it. Daniel Hickox has written me a bunch of times and asked me about it. He said, hey man, can I at least get a not gonna check this one out, or are you gonna ever do the DynaCERT? And then another person, Jerome, came out and said, hey, I wouldn't trust DynaCERT. I've been looking into them heavily, and if they don't make substantial sales this quarter, they could be in trouble. Watched a video from Webull that showed him going by their office. I like the Wall Street investor guy, but I think more risk here with them than reward. Just my 2 cents. If they get some sales going, I mean a lot of sales, then they may have a shot at a huge return. So, sounds like to me that's kind of setting it up that this might be a cool play, but are they making sales? Because that's really all that matters. Let's take a look. So, DynaCERT, who are they? Let's jump on in. They are a hydrogen play, but it gets a little bit better. We'll keep moving on. So they got some patents. They produce and measures amounts of hydrogen and oxygen gases from distilled water, which is crazy. So what is distilled water? Distilled water means water that the minerals have been stripped out of. So you basically got H2O at its pure form. And if they can turn hydrogen and oxygen gases from distilled water, that's pretty cool. You know, it's a patented processes. That's awesome. On demand, no storage, no pressure, intrinsically safe. So that's the problem with a lot of hydrogen stuff, is it's not the safest thing on the planet, but there's no pressure tanks that you have to have, or no storage. So my question is, if there's no storage, where do you store the distilled water? With a low power demand from the engine's battery bank. Okay, so it doesn't use a lot of juice from your battery. That's good. Delivered to the air intake of internal combustion engines. Okay, so that's kind of cool. It's kind of like nitrous. If you guys ever added NOS, if you ever added NOS to a car, you basically you can plug in the air intake and shoot it in there, and you just spritz it in there. So that looks like what they're kind of doing here. That's neat. On trucks, mining equipment, generators, reefers, construction equipment. Also particulate matter, blow smoke, black smoke, DEF, and DPF. So they've got $60 million already invested, 16 years of R&D and commercialization. That's good. Continue to expanded R&D for new models results in they got more power, better torque. So they've been fine-tuning it this whole time. You know, that's great. So less fuel consumption, less CO2, CO, and NOx put out into the environment, it sounds like, for internal combustion engines. So it's better for the environment. The emissions benefit. So hydrogen is their brand, it sounds like. They just GEN at the end. Lowers emissions substantially. The following results have been acquired from accredited third-party verifications in Germany. They've got up to 88% reduction of NOx, nitrous oxides. Speaking of nitrous oxides, 6 to 19% reduction in CO2, up to 47% reduction of CO, carbon monoxide, and up to 57% reduction of THC, hydrocarbons, 55% reduction in particulate matter. That's great. That's fantastic. Lower consumption and maintenance. It's easier on fuel consumption, reduction in DEF, increased life, increased reduction of oil changes. That's good too, you know, for fleet guys. So they've got different lines of this, right? So they were saying they can do anything from tractors to big semis to just small box trucks to school buses. So they've basically got it all. 1 to 8 liter little engines they have a setup. It's kind of neat. So they got a Class A truck application. You know, that's the big semi thing. It just looks like a big old gun box, you know, back there. Wonder how long it takes to get in. But you can see here it's on the back, this big old massive forklift thing. That's neat. So basically, you can just plug it in and then just plug it into your air system, and it improves your emissions and improves the engine's going to last longer. That's kind of neat, right? I think so. Industry served, although we mentioned also they want to get into locomotives, ocean vessels. That would be huge. I know ocean vessels have a very hard time with that. They actually came out with a new way to scrub, like they're calling air scrubbers or whatever. But the problem with those current air scrubbers is they create a lot of, let's call it like bad particulates that come out that they have to dump somewhere. And I've calculated that out before, and I don't think it's pliable and possible that a lot of these shipping companies are actually disposing of these particulate physical matter in the right way. They say that they have to go to a certain shore and deposit that stuff in a certain place. But the way I'm looking at it, like if these guys got to go from Australia to India, they're probably just gonna be dumping in the middle of the ocean, you know. So if they can help clean that thing up too, fantastic. They still, even though they said they can get into those 1 to 8 liter vehicles, they're also saying they haven't been able to get to passenger vehicles yet. So that sucks. Small marine vehicles, but again, this is cool for the whole, you know, big fleet market. Total market for it's 1 billion in internal combustion engines operate worldwide. 100 million new internal combustion engines built worldwide every year. The HG2 market estimate is 20 million in North America. It's big. Europe, 145 million trucks. It's massive. Diesel continues to be a growth industry. ICE is still the economical means of commercial transport. Consumer and industrial goods of food, trucking locally door to door. Electric vehicles are not yet well established in the target markets. So this is where they're kind of going after. They're kind of saying this is a way easier way to reduce your carbon footprint, you know, be greener, and also save on fuel economy and save on maintenance and stuff like that. So very high capital costs for electric cars. We know that. Usage costs, servicing costs, long battery charging, downtime, battery weight greatly. That's the other problem, you know, with the battery plays is they weigh a lot. You know, what did we figure out the other day? Like Teslas have something like 200 or 300 pounds of graphite alone in them, which is incredible. Unreliable in hostile weather environments. I don't know about that. Well, I guess that is kind of true because they do have problems. Lithium ions do have problems below freezing. That is true. And you know, they do get too hot. So they gotta figure that out, and they do, but it's still a problem, but this doesn't have that. Electrical power is unreliable in numerous remote jurisdictions. Kinda. Value proposition to end user. So they're saying cost of their system is $8,850. At least they tell you. The average system distance traveled by long distance truck per year is 161,000 kilometers. And 48 cents per kilometer. And then what they're going to save though is 7.2 cents per kilometer, which is quite a bit because that's going to, you know, 7 times 7. That's going to save them quite a bit, you know, about 8%. Well, they're saying 15%. Okay. Okay, got it. So if they could save 15% on fuel, that's huge. I guess if you're talking like, you know, these semis probably spend, you know, thousands and thousands of dollars a month on fuel. And so, you know, if you're just driving A to B to the grocery store, this is never going to make sense for you probably, right? So that's probably why they're not focused on the passenger cars. So that's cool. But, you know, the big shipping companies, yeah, that can be big. So, and here's a cool part. So for the average trucker, they're saying in 9 months, you are going to have your ROI, your return on investment, fulfilled. So that means in 9 months, you've made back that $8,850. So that's really cool, man. If you can go to any fleet guy and say, hey, I got an investment that's going to save you, you know, you can tell them over 10 grand a year per truck, and it's paid off in the first 9 months, they're going to be like, dude, that sounds pretty rad. You know, if they're going to be around for at least 2 or 3 more years, that's pretty cool. So independent validations, they've got different places like the University of Ontario, the Pitt Group, Continental that have tested their stuff, using it, auditing it for end user verification with DynaCERT Palihapitiya telemetric system end users can view in real time, visualize on their computers and phones day-to-day fuel savings. So they got a whole software program. They can compare their fleet performance, driver performance. That's really big. Not if you can see one of your guys is constantly going, 17 miles an hour over the speed limit, you can at least get them on the PA. I'll slow her down there, Jerry. Not only is this convincing for all end users such as truck fleets, but it can be audited and does not rely on prior independent third-party validation. So it's their own deal. They call it Hydra Lytica, proves to users the value of proposition from DNA products. High barriers to entry, separation method of the H2 hydrogen to the oxygen is a unique development. $60 million and 16 years to develop the hydrogen technology. Worldwide patented technology. That's pretty crazy that they can do that, really. And they're saying that's patented. So if it's actually really patented, then that's a pretty big deal. Unique electrolysis reactor, unique process, unique electronic control unit, the ECU, unique encrypted data management, certification in global jurisdictions. That's actually huge, right? Significant time advantage, global marketing strategy across multiple verticals, time to market advantage. Global business model, they're just looking to whoop it, move it up. DNA profit margin, 100%, that's pretty big. Fast ROI, price per unit wholesale. So it costs them 5 Gs to make it. That's quite a bit. I wonder what's really going on in that case. I would like to see the schematics of it and why it actually costs $5,000. It seems to me they might, they might be buying a proprietary piece of that from someone else. Because if they actually own the patents to all that, it should be way lower than $5,000. I don't care what's in that thing. Lower DA overhead, global dealer network. Yeah, okay, so they're trying to move around. Dealer network, 25 plus globally, trying to get to more countries. With that amount of sales, I don't know if that's the best vertical for them right now is to go to different countries. They're obviously missing Asia. That's a huge one. Australia's big on green. Asia would have been one of the first ones I would have been knocking on the door for, but just so far overall, I feel like these guys need to focus in for sales. They need to hire, even the it was a green power bus. They were saying, they're preaching that they've got 100 salesmen in the U.S. at all times that are just going around trying to get people to sign up for their stuff. So, these guys need to do something like that. So dealers invested in them. They've actually got dealers in Germany, Carbon Clean of USA, financing for Mexico Assembly, Canada stuff. It's cool. Recent developments. Oh, look at this. Y'all heard of him? Remember, I've mentioned this guy a bunch of times. Mr. Eric Sprott. He is super, I'm surprised he's in here. He's super big on the precious metal game. The dude is a billionaire, I think. And he is super aggressive and super awesome about investing in silver, gold, stuff like that, miners and all that. Super smart guy. You can listen to him on YouTube and all sorts of podcasts that are great. There's one on Friday night he does. You should listen to it. 2 guys that run it are awesome. He's invested $14 million, which is not a lot of money to him, but that's a lot of money, in DYA in early 2020. So just recently he put in money, 10% of DYA. First significant investment in a clean tech issuer. Yeah, that's great. Masolf becomes significant dealer in Germany. So there's dealers that are doing it, opening 23 showrooms throughout Europe. That's pretty big, so you've got another guy basically, or brand. I don't know what Masolf is. Do you guys? Must be like some sort of dealer for something, right? Cars or trucks, I'm guessing. Big semi stuff, but they're opening up showrooms to sell these, so that's really good. In fact, they had an initial order of 1,000 units. That's really good. Dyntech's number 1 ranked company across all sectors in 2020, TSX Venture 50. DYA has realized a 284% increase in share price and 384% increase in market cap. That's cool. So the shares outstanding, they have got right at over 400,000, including all diluted. They're at 430,000. 400 million, over 400 million shares. So that's quite a bit, so it's pretty highly diluted. It's not like a lot of these SPACs and stuff like that we talk about, or especially any penny stocks or anything like that. It's pretty high. But, just for reference, like, NEO is like 1.2 billion shares. So this is only a third of NEO, but look what NEO's done and look what they've done. I don't know. So the market cap, they're saying 230 million. Very liquid stock. Recent average daily volume is only 4 million shares. That's pretty good. So, okay, management and insiders, they own 30%. That's pretty big, man. Family offices, 20%. Eric Sprott owns 10%, plus he's got warrants. Can you buy warrants on this, by the way? Can you still buy them? That's probably where I'd be interested on this. Research reports. So skirts on trucks cost $3,000 to deliver 1% fuel savings and have had a 90% market penetration in 9 years. So they're saying that, these skirt things right here, these actually, you ever seen semis? They just started getting these, right, about 10 years ago, if you've even noticed that. But those cost like $3,000 and they only give you 1% fuel savings, but their thing is way better, right? Because they, for almost like 2.5 times of those, you could get something that's going to help out a lot. So the trailer skirt technology comparable, 90% of long haul trucks added the skirts. That's huge. The hydrogen technology proposes cost to end user less than $10,000 and saves over 10% on fuel. That's a lot. That's a big savings, really. For a semi to save 10% on fuel, because a lot of these guys, if they're running independent stuff, they got to pay. They float the whole bill. So if you're not driving for Walmart or whatever, and you're the only independent truck guy, I can't even imagine. I don't even know. Does anyone a truck driver out there? Any fathers or mamas out there? Truck drivers? What do you spend in a month in fuel? I'm curious to know. I'm gonna guess like 5-10 grand. I don't know. 10 grand? Jeez. 10% on that, $1,000 a month. Yeah, that makes sense. Our better deal is 10% for $10,000 or 1% for $1,000. Yeah, I agree. If I was a semi-truck driver, I'll never be one, but I would definitely get these skirts and probably this thing. The one thing that that they didn't go over is like how to install it. Like, they gave the cost, but they never said like how to get it installed. I mean, is it just like a plug and play thing that you can just do in like an hour? Does it just come with like an instruction booklet? Or, I mean, it sounds like there's obviously places you can go to do it, but I think they need to get more. It seems like to me they need to get in Peterbilt and Mac, dude. They need to be, why aren't they in the big names, dude? I mean, if those numbers are true, why aren't the big boys on it? Why isn't Peterbilt all over this, dude? They could sell this whole thing to Peterbilt if they wanted. Can you imagine if Peterbilt trucks could come out and be like, oh yeah, all those other trucks are rad, but ours get 10% better fuel economy. They could charge an extra probably 25 grand for this thing instead of $800 or whatever. It seems to me like that would be kind of a cooler play, is to, maybe go to an all-inclusive contract, like a starting big contract, but it seems like it might be a little bit too late for that because of all the other deals they've done. But this one seems to me it could be 1 or 2 contracts away from something massive, right? Because like I said, if they get one of those big, or even Cat tractors, if Cat tractors can get 10% better fuel, it's huge, man. Some of these guys ride these things all day long. We run, like the miners, for instance, like Highcroft Mining, right? They are pronounced to run 24 hours a day for decades. Running those Cat tractors. Can you imagine if you could say, hey, you want to save 10% on your fuel? I mean, imagine if these guys hooked up with even like Barrick Gold or something, dude, where they've got who knows how many mines, 100 or something, and all those Cat tractors there. My gosh. I like what they're playing though. I like how they got that company in Germany and the other dealers that are going to start selling them. But the problem with that is a lot of people look at that as a sales strategy to hopefully get other people to do sales for them, which is kind of good. But you've got to have a strong workhorse internal that can push for the big, huge contracts, because just because a dealer is going to be selling your stuff, it doesn't mean they're actually going to be selling it. They can just throw it in the back, and if someone calls every 5 years and says, "Hey, you got that DynaCERT, the hydrogen thing?" They'll be like, "I don't know. Let me check, bro. Yeah, we got one. There's a lot of dust on it." Are they really going to be selling it? Probably not. They're probably just going to store it, right? I don't know if you've ever been in many industrial shops, but I don't know. I feel like they need to hire, maybe a better chief marketing officer to market, and they need to get some hardcore salesmen in here, that are going to be smiling and dialing on the bigger boys. They need big contracts, not these little piddly ones. They're going to give them $1 million or $2 million here. They need the big ones. They're going to give them like 50 million, 100 million, $500 million. Leading provider. These investment highlights go over leading provider of carbon emission reduction technology to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and improve fuel efficiency, internal combustion engines, proven proprietary and patented technologies, ability to monitor and monetize carbon credits. So that is huge too. So I believe this is, correct me if I'm wrong, Tesla heads, because I'm definitely not a Tesla head, but I believe the only reason Tesla basically makes any money at all is because of their carbon credits, basically getting paid by California and stuff for being green. They basically just write you a check. And I think that was one of the reasons that Tesla was not decided to be included into the S&P 500 this last round, because that was the only profit they were showing, I believe, was in the carbon credits. I think that's a very good reason not to include them. They've got to have regular profit. Industry creator leader protecting by high barriers to entry, near-term growth potential reflecting late-stage trials and certification processes. They're in large markets: Canada, USA, South America, Europe, South Asia. I'm just thinking, even in Asia, can you imagine if they hired, some hardcore business negotiator dudes that could get them into, or guys that are already in with them, some of the big semi plays and stuff like that, or the shipping yard places in Asia. God, I feel like the government would be all over that, because they're doing that carbon credit stuff too, for sure. Across vertical market segments, and they're making it legal to have gas in diesel. So segments for trucks, reefer trailers, buses, heavy construction, mining equipment, electrical power generators. That's interesting. For the the floods and stuff that happened, if you can increase the efficiency of something for cheap enough, then I think so far it looks like it makes sense. The shipping stuff, man. Compelling value proposed to end users, attractive business model, strong margins. They do have pretty strong margins, but they need to lower that cost of that setup. It's way too much, dude. It's $5,000 for that box with some whatever's in there. I don't care what's in there. It needs to be way cheaper. I would like to dive into that. Maybe I will, and I'll try to update the video. Experience and seasoned management team and board to realize success. Yeah, so, what do I think of this? I think that this has potential. I mean, the numbers just make sense, right? If you can decrease emissions by 10%, increase money spent on gas by 10%, it's huge. Make your money back in 9 months. That all really should be very easy to sell. Again, the question is, why haven't the big boys picked it up yet? Imagine even Bluebird Bus picks this up. Come on, man. That's where I wouldn't be trying to get these weird places in, weird dealerships to set up in Germany and stuff like that. No, man, I'd be going after Bluebird, knocking on Bluebird's door, whatever you got to do, man. Get in with Bluebird, something like that. I didn't see one brand that I knew of tied to any of this. Did you guys? Other than those couple, that one in Germany or whatever, I didn't know what that was. So what do you guys think? Are you already in this? I am a little bit, is this something I'm going to jump on tomorrow? No. I'm probably not going to increase. I'll probably just hold. This is just kind of one of those lottery ticket things. It's so low that let's what do we got for the ticker here? DYFSF is the ticker. This is something I would definitely watch though, and keep up with the news, because again, if they release some banging contract, it could be huge, right? It could be absolutely huge. But for now, it doesn't sound like they're getting much out of it. Let's see if we can't find any lines that are making any sense to us. A lot of reason I don't like indicators everywhere is because I can't see anything. You know, probably here we could wrap this in a little burrito here, maybe. Yeah, because it's coming off at least this back one here and this front one. It's pretty close. This is like a big upside down head and shoulders, basically. You know, we got the McDonald's arc going on. So, you know, if this breaks down, God, this is so low. I don't think it's going to go anywhere all the way down to here. I mean, it did though. When was this? Oh, November of last year. It was down to 15 cents. So this was actually rallying before March. All right, this got to like, let's call it 92 cents. March happened, it got cut. Wow, in a quarter. Wow. Went down to 25 cents. Now it's sitting at 50 cents. So the big question is, are big semi truck places like Peterbilt and let's say like the school bus people, are they going to be spending any money right now? Even though it's going to make them more efficient, are they going to be spending any money right now? I think that's the big question that we have to ask. And are these guys ever going to? They need to hire someone else to be in charge of sales, and are they ever going to do that? That's the bigger question. They need to figure that out. Are they ever going to? We'll have to look into it. I'll look into the management more. Do you guys know any more about the management? I don't. You know, we've got probably a pendant going on here, something like that. It looks ripe. You know, it looks like it's probably chilling right in the middle of a pendant. Bam. Something like that. You know, we're sitting at like 50 cents. I'd say it's a decent time to buy in. You know, I mean, when something is proved that it's been 2x what you're at, and then you've done this volatility, and now you're kind of chopping at. Does anyone know what happened in July 13th though? Why this thing went back down to 36 cents? Let me know down in the comments. But it's been kind of volatile though. I mean, it even spiked all the way up to 60 and then slapped all the way back down to 46. I bet you no news is happening. I bet you people are just trying to day trade or just trying to trade this a little bit. But I don't know, because the shares are, it's so diluted at over 400 million shares. You know, I don't see people like day traders getting into this. I'm not sure what's going on here with the stock. I'll have to look at it more, but it'd be an okay place to park. Just don't think that this thing is gonna 5x your money overnight with that big a float going on. Man, they would have to announce something absolutely nuts. You know, could we get back to the 95? Maybe, but I wouldn't be backing the truck up on this right now. I would just watch it. Yeah, you know, maybe if you want to get a buy-in for any big pop, you could put it up to like 57 cents or something to make sure you're out of this green channel. You know, and then we can go all the way to 67 cents from there. But if this was a low floater, like if there was super low flow shares, I'd be more inclined to get in. But because there's such heavy shares, to get this thing to move anywhere is going to take a lot of weight. You know, a ton of weight. But having Eric Sprott in it, if he starts mentioning this on the mining channels and stuff, this could get some pops from there, because there's a lot of money in the mining stuff. So I don't know. What do you guys think? You going to jump in it? What do you think of this? Going to buy in now, or are you just going to hold and wait? Just watch for news. I'll obviously always update you if I find anything. I wanted to show another line I found on SPY. So we actually have a line, where is it? Oh yeah, coming back here from like 2018 that I found here. We've got some signs pointing that we could still definitely go south, which sucks, right? But if it's going to happen, I just want it to get it over with. I'd rather, honestly, it would just tank at the end of next week, go all the way past market lows, get that over with. That way we can pull back and then buy when it's really cheap. Then we can go shopping. Anyone else going to go shopping when it's that cheap? I do. I hope y'all protect yourself and are ready for that. But anyways, we needed to point out here that I think that this thing could definitely, you know, come down to 320, and it can definitely come down to like 310. So watch those. You know, we've got these lines. You can always come in and take a look at this video and see where we've got these lines, but we're creating so many. The problem is we've got so many gaps when this thing was flying up that, you know, how gaps like to get refilled. Most of the time they do. But if it were to refill all these gaps, it has to do a big market crash again, worse than March for sure, which is sketchy. One thing I do want to point out though, you know, if we bring up the EMAs, these squiggly lines here, all right? If you go back, we're basically riding above, we're riding bull above the 50-day EMA for quite a while. You can see it likes riding above. Basically come down and tag the 50 EMA back up, come back, tag the 50 EMA back up over and over and over. But where are we? We are still mountains and leagues above where that's at. You see, this is the 50 EMA here at 310. I was pointing out. Chances are we're probably gonna, you know, we're gonna end up hitting that at some point. Is it gonna be tomorrow? I don't know. If I did, you know, I don't know. But what I'm getting at, guys, is just protect yourself. You know, just stay tight. Like, don't invest in stuff unless you're like 90%. Are you 90% sure that your money is going to increase with the stock you're about ready to buy? If not, don't buy it right now. Just don't. And if you're really sketched out, pull out some of your money and just keep it in cash. You know, nothing wrong with that. And then, you know, there's also these SPACs that we talk about, much safer plays. Because I mean, even the last one we were talking about, it's sitting at 50 cents. That thing could go down to 10 cents, you know, and you're down huge, you know. But if you're gonna buy SPACs, you can buy them at almost the floor, where the most you can lose is 5-10%, you know. So that's where I'm really gonna be pushing the rest of my money. I'm gonna be pulling out of some positions, I think, this next coming week, just to hold until, you know, the whole election time thing happens to in the United States around the beginning of November. It's just not worth it, I think, to be in any sketchy plays. You know, I'm just going to basically get to a lot of SPAC commons is what I'm going to be moving a lot of my portfolio to it. And you guys do what you want, but just figure out a way, or protect yourself, or just pull some money out, pull half your money out, whatever you want to do, but just protect yourself. And y'all have a good rest of the night, and y'all take care. We'll see you out there tomorrow.
Did you know that we give away free silver? Simply leave a comment on the video, and as long as you're in the continental United States, you can be automatically entered to win. Please friend us on Twitter and StockTwits.